Ladies and gentlemen, we're live. We're about to go to break here in a moment. Joe Rogan, my good buddy, visiting here in Austin, is busy beating up the microphone right now. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff in the next hour and 10 minutes. Joe, good to have you here.
Good to be here. Thanks, buddy. What's going on?
Oh,
I like how we just shook hands, even though we've already shook hands and hugged, and we got to shake hands for you guys.
Exactly.
Very important.
Are you saying it's bad we did that?
No, I'm not saying it's bad.
Joe's always, keep it real, Jones.
Keep it real, Alex Jones.
I'm about
Fight the power. One day closer to victory.
You know, Joe just can't believe I've actually really liked this. This is what I'm really like.
Oh, I know. I believe you like this. I've known you for a long time now, man.
You know, I was thinking, we met in 99,
Yeah.
so this is actually 10 years.
You remember when I did my DVD that I filmed in Austin, The Belly of the Beast? You
Yes.
and I wore George W. Bush masks and Herbert Walker Bush masks.
We did a little satanic dance to show they were satanic.
Yeah.
Skull and Bones.
Yeah, we went running around the grounds of the state capitol building.
People thought we were nuts because we were. You know what was funny? That was put out on a DVD. I did it, and people found it and said, we found secret video of Alex and Joe, I'm not kidding, of Alex and Joe Rogan doing a satanic ceremony. And we're like, this is a spoof on them, on the Bushes. This is a public DVD sold in stores. But that's how the fake conspiracy theorists that discredit me, that's how they operate.
How many fake conspiracy theorists do you believe are actually employed by the government to make conspiracy theorists look ridiculous? Like when you read about like a guy like William Cooper, like some of the stuff that he said, like about like he thought that Kennedy's driver shot Kennedy.
When it wasn't true. Yeah.
But it's ridiculous. But it's like so crazy that everything else he says, you got to go, what?
Well, I don't think he was an operative, but what I think is, I mean,
he's just crazy.
I mean, he's better compared to some. I mean, I have documents. I go off 99% of the time. I'm not even speculating.
I'm going to make an Alex Jones T-shirt, and it's going to say underneath it, I have documents. Whenever there's anything crazy, I have documents, ladies and gentlemen. I can show you right now.
No, but let me ask you a question, though.
Okay.
There are a few hundred cases going back into the 60s, especially with COINTELPRO, where they would have activists act crazy, say crazy things.
Of course, right? I mean, it's an effective way to do it. I mean, if you look at like the way arguments progress on message boards, as soon as someone believes anything wacky,
well, now CENTCOM, now the military admits that they are on the web putting up.
I read that. I read that recently.
You have the documents.
I have the documents.
Well, you do, see?
But it's fascinating how they have, like, directions on how to troll. How to troll people, how to bait them in arguments, how to respond when you're being, you know,
that's all come out. That's all come out.
It's fascinating.
So we know that hundreds have been caught. We know CENTCOM's hired tens of thousands, and they even have private PR firms that do it. And so, yes, it is there. But more often than not, I'm sad to say, the crazies, it's just schizophrenics and people, too. I mean, there are outright nuts. Stay there. Joe Rogan in studio, ladies and gentlemen. The InfoWar continues. All right, this hour and 5 minutes we've got left with Joe is just going to go by so quickly. So let's go ahead and get into it. During the breaks, we're having even more interesting discussions than we're having on air. You were asking me, what's this Ron Paul clip I've got on the screen over here? And I was saying I played it earlier where suddenly Glenn Beck comes out and goes, the world government's real. The international bankers are dangerous. They're more dangerous than standing armies. You know, Thomas Jefferson quotes. What do? They're bankrupting us by design. But now he's doing it on Fox News, so that's going to discredit that message. But you were bringing up Ron Paul and his ideas.
Why do you think that it discredits that message? I mean, if he's saying it on Fox News, maybe they're saying it because they're really worried about it now. Maybe it's gotten to the point where even the people that were, you know, supposedly supporting a corrupt administration are now scared that it's far more corrupt than they had ever believed.
Well, let's hope so.
When I see a guy like Glenn Beck, I think here's a guy who wants attention. He wants to be a smart guy. He wants to be sensible. He wants to prove a point. But I feel like a lot of it's like an act. I feel like he's this American apple pie guy. And now I heard that he's doing some sort of a performance where he's like, he has a live show.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, he's like an entertainer.
Well, a year ago he said the Army needs to watch and look at and be used against Ron Paul supporters. But you see what I'm saying about his opinions? I mean, if he wants to do a live show, he's an entertainer. You know, I mean, that's really, I mean, no news person does a live show. They don't even think about that. So what validates his opinions? You know, maybe he is a guy that was on the side of it because he thought that it was the right thing to do. Or maybe he's mixing in real issues, but then sandwiching it with more government propaganda, which he's doing.
It could be. I mean, it could be that he's, you know, this is the new stance, that this is the new stance at Fox News, is they always need an army or they always need an enemy. And so now if the enemy isn't the liberals, maybe if the liberals are in charge and they've decided to work with them, now, you know, the idea is that we're supposed to be afraid of the international banks.
But it is the international banks that orchestrated the collapse I have the documents, as they say.
Right.
And
do you believe that it was orchestrated, or do you believe that it was orchestrated and fell apart because of just human nature and greed and the fact that these people were willing to take these crazy loans that they couldn't pay off and houses that they couldn't afford, and that bankers knew that these houses were just never going to just continue to appreciate? They were completely overinflated. You think it's a little bit of both, maybe?
It is a little bit of both, because in the lending changes they made in the mid and late 90s, that allowed sub-brokerage and banks to run scams, and that did happen. But the large central banks, we have their own policy papers, and when I went and infiltrated Bilderberg 3 years ago, and it's in my film Endgame out for a year and a half, I said they're going to pop the subprime mortgage, create an international banking crisis, and then propose a world bank that you'll pay carbon taxes to, and that was now in Newsweek 2 weeks ago.
If that happens, what happens to all the money in America? What's the thought behind that? Like, everybody who has $1 million all of a sudden has a zero, and we all start at scratch? And then
the elite have transferred the assets while they still have value into tangible, hard resources
like
and infrastructure.
Gold and oil and stuff like that. Now, so is that the thought behind it? That they're just going to cancel out all the money? That they're going to completely implode the dollar?
What they're going to do is have a world banking system that's already there but go public that will set the currency values and that will control the major Western governments. So you'll already have a world currency, but you'll still have your local unit. Kind of like Sports Illustrated's in 15 different regions or whatever, but it's still Sports Illustrated. So you'll still have a dollar, you'll still have a peso, you'll still have a pound, you'll still have a euro, but it's all going to be devalued simultaneously.
Now, okay, here's the question. Is there a way to stop anything like, if this is all real, if this is really what's going to happen, is there a way to stop it, or at this point in time, should it be stopped? I mean, what do you think should happen?
Oh, it's probably going to fail. Even the bankers are saying in their own policy reports that are public that this is going to be a hard sell. So we're going into one hell of a fight, because these guys won't give us quarter. I mean, they're not going to stop.
Well, why? So the bankers are saying that they're not going to be able to pull it off.
They're saying it's very hard for them. But now, since they built the crisis, and they're saying they have to do it or it will all fall apart.
Is it possible to because of this crisis, is it possible that they could re-engineer to bring it back to life? Or is it just, I don't understand enough about the way the financial system works.
That's what's so psycho about these globalists is they've created a crisis where only going to the next Ponzi scheme will save it, which then gives them all the power. So they say to the country, you better go with us or it's over. And in a way, it's really true. We'll be right back in 70 seconds with Joe Rogan.
Thank you for listening to GCN. Be sure to visit GCNlive.com today.
Hello, friends. This is Alex Jones. I've told you for a long time it's important to be self-sufficient, and today that's more important than ever. We need to be independent, and food and water is the key. You'll never have to stand in a bread line if you have your own bread. You'll never have to go to the Superdome and beg for FEMA to take care of your family in any emergency if you simply prepare. No one is going to take care of your family in the final equation but you. You know eFoodsDirect.com is still able to ship storable food that's safe from E. coli, salmonella, genetic alteration, or Chinese imports. And they do it at almost half the cost of last year's grocery prices. Call 1-800-409-5633. Or on the web, go to eFoodsDirect.com. Visit eFoodsDirect.com and look over the fine list of high-quality, freeze-dried, and dehydrated foods they have to offer. Watch the free videos. Look at their online catalog. Or give them a call at 1-800-409-5633. Again, 800-409-5633. Or on the web at eFoodsDirect.com. Take action today. The first step is getting storable food.
Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
All right, let's move quick, Joe. There's a lot going on, a lot happening.
Mainstream media. Government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas.
Yeah, it's on PrisonPlanet.tv live. Here we go. Yeah, Joe, this is streaming out on PrisonPlanet.tv. Then it gets ripped all over the four corners of the web, and it's also been simulcasting on the radio.
You got a serious setup here, sir.
That's pretty good. Thank you for liking it, though.
Pretty sporty. Kubrick films playing in the background. It's kind of creepy.
Well, the real world is creepy, as you know.
The real world is creepy.
Very, very, very creepy. Let's get into, first off, before we get into Ron Paul, what's some of the latest stuff you're working on? I mean, you're the top host, one of the founding hosts. Well, I know that when people ever talk about the host, they talk about you with Ultimate Fighting, becoming an international super craze, just getting bigger and bigger. You've done all these big TV shows. You just did another big TV show. You're doing the comedian stuff. Tell us what Joe Rogan's up to these days.
Well, I mean, primarily my job is always I'm a stand-up comic. I mean, that's really what I do. Everything else, I kind of do for money. The UFC is... my big gig, and that's just an awesome job. I mean, I just love doing that. Love doing commentary. I'm a huge fan of the sport. And then I do little things on the side sometimes. Like, I just did this thing for CBS called Game Show in My Head. It's like a hidden camera comedy game show. We did 8 of them, and they're airing all throughout January. It's actually pretty funny. It's a hidden camera comedy game show where they have to do these crazy things. They have a earpiece in, and I'm talking to them, and there's hidden cameras everywhere. So, but I think we did 8 of those, so I think it's done at the end of this month.
But I remember you saying that about Fear Factor. You go, I did this. I don't even really want to do it. I'm just doing a lot of things. I don't think this is going to go.
That's what I thought. When I was first doing it, I was like, this thing's so stupid. How is this